Cider Crusaders, I don't have any kiddos yet, but if my 8-year-old son lost his YMCA basketball league game and acted half as much of a child as Cam Newton did, we would have a sit-down chat about it. John Wooden, I think the greatest coach of all time, UCLA basketball, he said, what you are as a person is far more important than what you are as a basketball player. Peyton Manning knows that, which is why before the game, Peyton was asked what he wants his legacy to be. And he said he wants to be known as someone who is respected by his teammates and his opponents. He said his dad taught him that's the most important thing. And you're thinking, oh, but Slater, it's the biggest game of Cam Newton's career. Clearly he's distraught. Let's look at something of what I would think is of greater importance than a football game, and that's war. When Robert E. Lee surrendered, he said he would rather die 1,000 deaths than go see General Grant. 300,000 people died on the Confederate side. I would say that's worse than losing a football game. But General Grant, after they met, he wrote in his journal about meeting with Lee, he said Lee was such a man of dignity that in the end, instead of rejoicing in the downfall of his foe, he was honored to have fought against someone who suffered so long and valiantly. In every game, there are two contests. First, you have the sport in question, the score. Then you have the contest of who can win with grace and lose with dignity. And I would argue whoever does that the best wins the more important contest in the end, and that's the battle of respect. Even if Peyton lost the big game, he'd still go down in history as a man who people respected. Did you catch one of the Panthers crying at the end of the game? Did you catch that guy? Just 2 minutes before that, as Peyton was walking off the field after his last drive, that same Panthers player walked up to Peyton, shook his hand, took a half step back, and saluted him. Literally saluted Peyton Manning on the field. You can be distraught after a big loss and honor your opponent at the same time. Russell Wilson, of course, quarterback for the Seahawks, he wrote an open letter to Peyton, and he included in it this picture here. 10th grade, Russell Wilson at a Peyton Manning quarterback camp in Louisiana. And Russell Wilson said, you inspired Peyton, the kid in that green shirt. You inspired me to work hard, to be disciplined, to be respectful, to take notes. You inspired me to love the process. Those are the things that matter. Bruce Barton, 1920, he wrote about people who are in search of fame and money. And he said, history's full of men who traded their lives for fame and money, and in the end, traded themselves empty-handed. And he said, quote, surely a possession that can so quickly fly away and that leaves such shriveled souls behind it cannot be the supreme good. So what is the supreme good? Plato said, I shall endeavor to live as virtuously as I can, and I invite all other men to the utmost of my power, and you too, I invite to this contest, which I affirm surpasses all contests there are. Again, two contests in every game. You have the score and the contest of virtue. It's fun to dab and dance, but if I can end with another John Wooden classic quote, he said, talent is God-given. Be humble. Fame is man-given. Be grateful. Conceit is self-given. Be careful.